When looking at official symbols of China, some may find it interesting, while others stares with confusion. There is the People's Republic of China's flag and their coat of arms, which can easily be recognized, but China as a whole is a sky with many stars, as one can see under a national banner. But you can also find other flags and symbols for some areas, such as Macau, Hong Kong, and many other cities and places. If one looks at maps of modern-day China, various lines, demarcations, or subdivisions may appear. The question is, are there any differences between those? The short answer is yes. The correct answer is a bit more complex. Modern-day mainland China has various administrative entities, such as provinces, autonomous regions, and the most interesting one being special administrative regions. This brings up this question: why? Before we can get into that, we gotta understand China's history. China's history is marked with an enormous amount of events, which has shaped its culture to this day. China may be a big player now, but it hasn't always been the case. From the time of the Qing dynasty to the first years of the Republic, aka Beijing China, the mainland has been in the grip of many foreign powers, from the Mongol Yuan dynasty to the first settlements of European colonists during the Ming dynasty. What followed is everything but glorious. During the 1800s, Qing China's declining power will be known as the Century of Humiliation, a humiliation brought upon by Western colonial and imperial powers. War and unequal treaties were brought mostly by the British and the Japanese empires, but also by the Russian, German, American, and French empires. To a lesser extent, Portugal, Austria-Hungary, Belgium, and Italy also participated to an unraveling chaos that brought the Chinese society to its knees. In other words, what is now called the Western powers. Chinese people will be at the heart of many uprisings, the rise and falls of many warlords. This society in crisis will lead to the Chinese Civil War, opposing nationalists and communists. The fighting intensified during World War II as the main Chinese factions united to fight off the Japanese aggressors. The fighting concluded with the overwhelming victory of the Chinese people and the defeat of the Japanese Empire, followed by the retreat of foreign powers and the ultimate victory of the Communist Party, putting an end to the century of humiliation. In the beginning of the 20th century, China was a cake which many pieces had been divided by the industrial powers of the time. Those parts were called concessions. All the European empires had their little piece of China to add to their colonies. If this wasn't enough, through the 1850s to the 1910s, a lot of territories, protectorates, and influence on tributary states had been lost. Over the years, many lands once beginning to the crown of late imperial China will either fall in the hands of neighboring countries and kingdoms or declare independence, such as Mongolia and other nations. Just to name a few examples, here are the concessions held by foreign countries in China in the 1910s. You've got the Russians in Manchuria, the Austro-Hungarians, the Belgians, the Japanese, also expanding to Korea and Formosa, the Germans, the Italians, the French, near Indochina, the Americans, the British, who already got Hong Kong, and the Portuguese in their colony of Macau. Российская империя, Österreichisch-Ungarische Monarchie, Royaume de Belgique, Nihon Koku, Deutsches Reich, Regno d'Italia, République Française, United States of America, United Kingdom of Great Britain, Império Português, Jinfa Shidai. There are also some Chinese warlords who took the chaos as an opportunity to take control of vast territories and establish their own cliques as rulers. But all this is a thing of the past, and things were about to change with the upcoming of the People's Republic. As autonomous regions are associated with certain ethnic minorities, SAR share a totally different story. That is what is interesting to us. If we go back to the Portuguese and British presence in China, but now that those territories are no longer colonies and that the Europeans are gone, why do those islands and peninsulas still hold a special status? The thing is that contrary to the other concessions made to foreign powers, those territories did not fall in the Chinese government jurisdiction after the proclamation of the PRC in 1949. At that time, only the Soviet bloc had recognized the new government. The UK still had a lease on the territory, making it a significant dependency, and an agreement regarding Hong Kong was reached only in the 1980s. Portugal only established official diplomatic relations with China in the 1970s, and an agreement regarding Macau was reached in the 1980s. The sovereignty was only transferred in the late 1990s, but there were certain conditions to that transition. Here we are today in the 2020s. So what now?
Let 1,000 flowers bloom, Chairman Mao. You all
colonial territory